Pranayama and respiratory system. We did up to Nishpatti. Arambha, Ghata, Parichaya and Nishpatti. 4 stages of pranayama according to Shiva Samhita. That's where we were. And pranayama and respiratory system. We worked on this also, by the way. We talked about pranayama increases oxygen, carbon dioxide levels, really, and all that stuff, right? So increasing efficiency of the cells. So increasing cell respiration is what we say that pranayama focuses on, not on the lung respiration.
So self-respiration to observe the oxygen.
Yes. In such a way that the oxygen is efficiently absorbed at the cells. That is the goal of pranayama. But also, one of the other goals also is to increase the tolerance levels to carbon dioxide and tolerance levels to increased oxygen, decreased oxygen, increased carbon dioxide, decreased carbon dioxide, all of those situations. You are basically fine, with the stress. It's like, you know how the cars are given stress test and they are like bombarded and the car took very well, it was fine. You are building that resilience in the body through pranayama. That's what enables you to sit in meditation for hours. So something has to aid you in sitting for hours, or even marathoners for running for hours. So that means what? Continuously the oxygen and the glucose has to be supplied to the cells without you feeding yourself, right? Constant eating. If you're running or sitting for hours together, you're not eating, you're not drinking, you're not going to bathroom, that means you should not have been drinking too much water beforehand. So all of that has to be. Yogi eats only once. How is that possible if you don't train your cells to take the deprivation of the nutrition for some time? And then of course you should also eat enough so that you have a good capacity to store your nutrition into the cells, into the bone marrow, all those places. So you are actually training the entire body to take that additional stress, because sitting without food is stress. That's the point of being able to meditate. And then not only sitting is only one part of meditation, but you're also constantly keeping that awareness in check is another pranic activity, right? Otherwise it sinks. Slumber can happen, if not distraction. Okay, fine, you have worked on focusing, or rather relaxing and not getting thoughts. You have deprived yourself of all the sensory inputs. So fine. Then after about few days later, your all sensory stimulus is not there. Since stimulus is not there, brain also quietens. But then if you don't have enough training to keep that awareness up, then you won't be able to, you will mostly feel sleepy, or you are sitting there in some, those 5 states, right?
Kshipta, Mudha, Vikshipta, Ekagra,
and Nirodha. So you will be in one of those states, not in the Ekagra and Nirodha, but mostly in Kshipta, Vikshipta or Mudha state, right, for the most part. Some state they are, half asleep, or maybe simply very slightly distracted, things like that. But you're not totally aware and totally Ekagra and total Nirodha. All those, to achieve all of that, pranayama is a must. So harnessing the prana to be able to get there is important. That's what pranayama allows you to do. So, rate, depth and quality of breath are critical. We already talked about athletes, mountain climbers, yogis have higher lung capacity. So once you inhale and exhale, that's it. You supplied oxygen enough to last for quite some time. So that is the idea. Same thing with nutrition also. Both of these go together. So you should be able to stay. Once you deposited that in your body, okay, now I'm going to hibernate for some time. But hibernation alone is not the goal. That's the difference between animal hibernating and a yogi, because animal simply goes into a slumber, whereas you are active through the whole practice. We talked about this clavicular breathing, intercostal and yogic breathing, and now we are here. This is nothing much. We just simply, let's quickly go over these slides. Improves the following function: digestion and elimination, cleansing, oxidization of the waste matter, nourishment to the body cells, conversion of glucose into energy. All of these have to be efficiently done. That's when you can sustain without eating and without breathing. Improves respiratory and circulatory systems. Prolonged holding of the breath leads to slowing down of the heart rate, which leads to increased rest to the heart muscle. Any debate on that? Kumbhaka. But again, Kumbhaka has to be slowly developed. You don't hold your breath and sit there without training. Then you can get into those neurological challenges. That's why at Yoga Bharati we try and not do that. In the regular classes we don't. As level 2 and 3 and as teachers, as sadhakas, we can start exploring those things.
But just for a few seconds, few moments, if you can just encourage in the class.
That's fine.
Yeah, once you know that the people have been practicing for a while.
Yeah. Except see, the goal is not to encourage them to practice at home. Usually they take it to an extreme levels. That's why we try and stay away from all that, because there is so much one can do without holding the breath, without practicing like 100 Kapalabhatis, 100 times, all those things. There is enough to achieve just by doing very simple basic yoga poses. They are quite powerful. So no need to go into these deeper practices.
Can I ask, when we do like our 1 minute, right, 60 breaths per minute, 120, you might have answered this before, but that really shouldn't increase your blood pressure, right?
121 actually does.
It does, okay.
Yeah. 40.
Even for a minute? Even
Yes.
if you do it for a
Yes. 40. We say 40.
40, okay.
Just go, stay with actual researched number is 40, not even 60.
All right. Kapalabhati, yeah.
Dr. Shirley has done a research from Patanjali Yoga Pit on Kapalabhati. She was the one who had to go there and show Baba Ramdev that Kapalabhati is not the way to go. So they did a good job actually. They went from, Dr. Shirley and Dr. Naveen had gone from Vyasa to Patanjali Yoga Pit. Now Dr. Shirley is still there and she did research on Kapalabhati after that. Until that point, happily he was going about camp after camp saying, do Kapalabhati.
So when we are teaching it in a class, so we first do the 60 and then we do the 140. So we should actually give them the warning. Thank you. That if you have whether it's medicated or unmedicated, they
Good
should
to say that if you have hypertension, we just don't say medicated or unmedicated. We don't
Okay.
say any. If you have hypertension, stay at 60 or even come down to 40.
Okay.
That's my standard sentence, which I've memorized.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's a big one, I think.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I did not catch the point. What Dr. Shirley is trying to prove to Ramdev Baba?
She has written research papers on the effects of Brahmari,
Kapalabhati.
Kapalabhati. And that's when they have come down to 40 for people with hypertension.
Is it
Kapalabhati.
published somewhere that we can
I have
read
to
it?
check now.
Okay.
I don't know how many are peer-reviewed published. If they are not peer-reviewed published papers,
Mhm.
then they won't be on the PubMed. But they have shown to him specifically that look, this is what happens.
I used to get dizzy when I did Kapalabhati.
Because the blood vessels constrict further, and then the blood supply to the brain reduces.
So the blood vessels constrict because the carbon dioxide level has gone down? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then when I'm just trying to put everything together
Yeah,
that we've
fine.
learned. So then when we go into Kevala Kumbhaka, then the CO2 levels are trying to come up to an optimal level for the
Or
body.
even increase.
Increase.
In the real challenging, advancing in yoga, we stopped using the word advanced, but for now let me use the word advanced. in the advanced or the level 2 or level 3 of pranayama, what we do is we give lots of Kapalabhati, healthy volunteers, healthy practitioners. So lots of Kapalabhati or Bhastrika, even better Bhastrika, and not even with hands, without even using hands. And hold for a long time. So basically you increase the oxygen, hyperventilation, like big way, that is removed all the carbon dioxide, more than increase oxygen, removed all the carbon dioxide, and then you held the breath, and then carbon dioxide levels go up and you hold. So you kind of push the envelope on both sides. That's the goal, but in a controlled environment and for a person without any contraindications. Otherwise you are going to mess yourself.
So when you reduce the carbon dioxide levels, that then the result of that is that it helps you to use the oxygen more efficiently in the body? Is that?
When you reduce carbon dioxide? No,
No.
not at all.
So what's the benefit of reducing the carbon dioxide? I think I missed that part.
We just simply are training the body to take both extremes. That's it.
Okay. So you're not like getting in more oxygen, you're not helping the cells get deeper levels of oxygen into
In fact, the
there.
opposite happens.
Opposite. Yeah.
So because when the carbon dioxide levels are reduced,
Uh-huh.
there is another mechanism that gets triggered. The chemoreceptors, they sense the lower amounts of CO2 and the blood vessels start constricting. So even though we may pump in more oxygen to the lungs, it's not actually transported to the cells of the body. Because the blood vessels start to constrict. That's what happens in
So why
hyperventilation.
is that good?
So then the body.
No, it's not. Okay,
Not good.
the goal of
Okay.
Kapalabhati, no, that's why I said that we are only training the system to take a bit of extreme on both sides. But here, what we are trying to do in Kapalabhati is that little slight hyperventilation is only to to cheat the brain to think that I don't have to breathe for some time because the carbon dioxides are washed away. And so you sit there without breathing for some time. And because you are so deep into Kumbhaka helps you by washing away thoughts, because your breath doesn't move, your thoughts also don't move. So then you are in that state of silence. And then you now prolong that state also, that is prolonged holding of breath, increases the carbon dioxide levels, and then that slows down the heart rate. So you are slightly increasing the heart rate, you are slightly increasing the sympathetic tone, because you want to deeply experience the parasympathetic tone. That is if your body allows you to do. Otherwise you don't. There are other ways to achieve the same thing. Yeah. Like for example, we say this even in our cyclic meditation. The body is in tension, but the mind is relaxed. So you're tensed. You're like all the way, and you're holding there for some time, right? So I have to do this. So your body is in such a tensed state, right? That's a slight stimulation there, so that you then come down and you're like, wow, I appreciate now this relaxation. I appreciate relaxation better when I'm slightly stimulated. I appreciate cold water better when I have come from in the hot sun, right? That's the point. So eustress. The word is eustress. We create slight stimulation so that we feel challenged. That's the point.
One quick comment. So I just was watching some of the videos of Ramdev Baba, and he was just mentioning that Kapalabhati takes care of so many problems.
Yeah.
I guess we can park that discussion for now, because last time also we discussed this, right? Let's not worry about what he's saying. We'll just simply ignore that and practice. Yeah, forget that.
So no truth about it, or we don't have any comments.
No, we talked, right? That it's not good to. Last week we had a long discussion on Kapalabhati. You were not there, I guess.
No, I was there.
You were there?
Yesterday it was.
Was that? Yes.
Only yesterday I just somebody
Yeah, so basically that's not true. As simple as that. That's not everything. We even discussed the even Sudarshan Kriya, right? Without full awareness and without knowing the side effects of hyperventilation practices, don't do that.
Sudarshan Kriya makes me really dizzy and lightheaded.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Don't do
That's
it.
it.
Which one? Sudarshan Kriya.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. Alright, so let's move on to the next one now. Benefits of pranayama: removes obstructions which impede the flow of prana at a deeper level. What's happening? The blocked prana here, and there is a spasm here, and there is, blocked prana in the digestive system. It just allows you to breathe, and the whole prana flows easily everywhere. And all sarva roga nivarana is that pranayama, not Kapalabhati by itself. Yeah.
Yeah, can I just share that sometimes, I don't know if everyone else this happens to, but I often, my body just goes into these aches and pains, like all of a sudden. And if I do like 10, 12 minutes of Nadi Shodhana, they just melt.
Yeah.
It's like, did I just take Tylenol?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Perfect.
yeah, I'm like in shock that it works that quickly and that well.
It does.
Brahmi works in headache and like, if you have thoughts going on or stress somewhere. So, series of Brahmi, it has helped me personally. It's
Perfect.
unlimited. Yeah, it has just
Yeah.
helped.
So spend time on pranayama for yourself. Even in the class, make sure they get at least 15 to 20 minutes of pranayama. Don't compromise on pranayama. That's why we talked about how to make yoga asanas, in a very efficient way, so that you have time to spend on pranayama. Otherwise, you will be wasting time with instructions and here and there, and then by the time you finish your DRT, you will be looking at the clock, 5 minutes, okay, you quickly do some, quick Kapalabhati and then couple of Nadi Shuddhi pranayama, and as if it's a ritual, and just be done.
But some
That's
people,
not that.
they don't treat like, they don't know pranayama values, but they think it's, they're wasting time to do that.
That's why you should give yoga such that they just feel that they have got their quota. That's why that time not wasting that time, and not making them wait and watch your demo for a long time, and all that should be cut off, and then you take them along. That's the skill of the teacher, right? You have to really beat them with the asanas and techniques so that they get their share, and then you make them sit. They will want to sit, and then they deeply appreciate. And then your instructions for pranayama also require, it's much bigger skill to teach pranayama and meditation, by the way.
Can I add something
Yes.
to that? So the importance of pranayama, one thing that one of our teachers, Sri Ramaswamy, says is basically when we read the Yoga Sutras and the commentaries of Yoga Sutras, the benefits of pranayama and asana can be, if you want to summarize in one sentence, asanas, the primary benefit is to reduce rajogunam, rajas. Pranayama, the benefit is to reduce tamogunam, and the mind becomes clear. So what happens if we do only asanas and ignore pranayama is we keep reducing rajas, and then so that balance, what happens is when you push one, that is when you push down rajas, either sattva or tamas will come up. So if you don't do pranayama, there is a chance that tamas might come up. So we need to push down the rajas and tamas. So we need asana and pranayama together so that sattva blooms.
Perfect.
Not,
So beautiful.
Just
Wow.
a practical thing, I myself sometimes if I skip, now it makes sense, but I didn't know why. So, this you mentioned this in the class sometime like a few months back. That's when it struck me. So sometimes if you do only the asanas, maybe you're already in a very sattvic state of mind that day, and probably you push down your rajas, Sometimes you do feel sleepy instead of feeling invigorated. You do all your asanas and then, okay, 11 o'clock, I'm tired. But it doesn't happen all the time. If you have like,
Yeah.
and you don't know if you're not sensitive enough to know like what kind of state you are in.
In fact, there's
So
a
then it's nice to do everything, and then in fact if you do everything, the meditation and everything, it doesn't make you sleepy.
Yeah.
It keeps you.
It rejuvenates you.
Then you don't need that every 5-minute nap in the afternoon that you're
there's
crazy.
a Bhagavad Gita verse that says this, in the 14th chapter there's a verse. Rajas tamas tha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. rajas sattvam tamas chaiva, tamas sattvam rajas tadha. That means if you bring down rajas and tamas, sattva will come up. If you bring down rajas and sattva, tamas will come up. If you bring down tamas and rajas, whatever, all three combinations are mentioned there. And one more comment can you make on this slide? So this first benefit that we see in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So this sutra 4.3, it actually is mentioned not in the context of pranayama, it's in yoga in general. Yoga in general removes the obstacles to the flow of prana. The sutra, this actual sutra is nimittam aprayojakam prakritina varana vedastu tatha kshetrikavat. That means it removes the, just like the analogy that is given is like a farmer removes obstacles from the flow of water to irrigate his field. Like that, the practice of yoga removes all the obstacles so that the whole, all the meridians, all the channels, the nadis, free flow, allow the free flow of prana so that every cell is invigorated. That's the analogy that's given in this sutra. And then when you look at the actual pranayama topic where Patanjali discusses pranayama, he gives two benefits. Maybe we can include that in the slides later on.
Sure.
I'll also change that.
Yeah.
So one benefit is tata kshiyate prakasha avaranam. Avaranam is like tamas, which is the way that is imagined is like a smoke that covers the inner light, the prakasha. So when there is smoke that covers the light, you don't see the light. The way to allow the light to emerge is to allow movement of air so that the smoke clears and reveals the inner light. Prana does the same thing. When we allow the movement of air, the inner light comes because all the clog in the mind gets released. That's one benefit of pranayama that Patanjali mentions. And the second benefit is more direct. Dharana sucha yogyata manasaha. That means it prepares the mind for concentration. Dharana, basically.
I have a quick question. So when we do lots of, not lots of, but some like, body breath synchronization, so does it compensate a little bit of pranayama or like, or
No, doesn't. There you are only helping them to breathe properly, basically. You are expanding. Like,
basically bringing the awareness to the body. When
Yeah.
you come to the class, you don't know where the mind is, where
Yeah.
the body is. It's just like,
and awareness to the body is something that many people lack.
Most people.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know what's happening inside their body. And once I said this before, but once I went to the doctor saying I have asthma. And she went, checked everything. She said, I don't know why you're saying this. It was spring season. And she asked, why did you come here? What did you think? I don't understand. I said, my Brahmari count has come down. from 30, I used to be able to chant for 30 seconds and today it's 15, which is half. So my lung capacity, I tried as much as I tried, but it's only half. She was like, wow. And she's still my doctor, and every time I go there, she's a bit scared to write a lot of medicines for me. Like, you know what to do, Ashwini. Go do this. So, yeah, that is the awareness of your inner faculty. Forget that part. They don't even have awareness of any like pain and other things until they become chronic, until they become really bad. So that is why it's important to bring awareness to the body and move it with the breath so they become more aware of their breath and their body and the whole synchronized integrity of the practice. That's all. But pranayama is pranayama.
but like when you are doing now in last few months, I've realized that I've been doing yoga for last 12 years. But in last few months, I think I've realized that this is also meditation. And if
Yes.
we don't bring all the focus, I never knew what I'm doing, what I was
Yeah.
doing for 12 years, right? So isn't that also supplementing pranayama?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everything finally helps, right, to achieve the same goal. At the end of it, if you simply was a karma yogi and did not do any of those things, and you just managed to simply work with awareness, that also is meditation. That is as good as anything else. Remember that story? One yogi in the forest who burns a bird through his eyesight, right? He burns a bird because she pooped on his, she drops, what is the word to use? I don't know, not the poop. What is that? There is some better.
Dropping.
Dropping. Bird dropping.
There is one other word. No. Sorry, I'm looking for a more. Yeah, sorry. She dropped on him, right? When he was meditating, he looks up and burns the bird with his eyesight, and then he goes into some house to ask for alms, Bhikshandehi, and the lady is helping her in-laws. She's taking care of them, and she says, "Please wait. I'm helping my in-laws," and she's taking care of those poor old people. And the third time, he madly says Bhikshandehi. She comes out and says, and he looks at her, says, "I'm not that bird.
Wow.
So shut up and wait there." And he's baffled. How do you know? How do you know that this happened? Because that happened just a few hours ago. I was in the forest doing meditation, but you could not have come there and seen me. So how do you know this? Because I'm a yogi as much as you are. You meditate there, I meditate here through my work, seva. So believe me, you develop those siddhis that we just went through that Bhagavad Gita, right? It's as much as that. So you get what you get through pranayama, and this is Raja Yoga path, right? Whatever you get through Raja Yoga path, you get through Karma Yoga path also. Frankly, I am a Karma Yoga fan. I don't do half of what I tell others to do. Sorry. But that's life, okay? I have only 24 hours, just like anybody. But yes, I do feel that my breath has improved, my mind has improved, and I'm working on all these factors. Just through the work. Possible. Okay? So, but we are on pranayama, so let's stick to pranayama, okay? So it helps you regulate thoughts, desires, actions, gives willpower to become a master of oneself. And pranayama removes the fear of death. Shiva Samhita. I did not bring all the shlokas, but here is one challenge for everybody. I would like you to work on this, and we have a text also, by the way. There is a Word document. We cannot put everything in the PowerPoint slides, so what we are doing is we have Google document also called Advanced Pranayama or something like that, and I'm sharing that too. So there we can start putting all this in much more detail. I need your help on that. So that way we can, I'll just share a copy, edit, and just, all these things you can add, and whatever else you want to add, make it a rich document, right? Okay, so pranayama helps remove fear of death as per Shiva Samhita. Having mastered pranayama, but how does it help remove fear of death? We talked about this.
Anxiety is gone, isn't it?
What is fear of death?
So if you come at
Yeah, attachment.
Abhinivesha, right? You think body is you. That's why. But once you know you are you and the body is just a wrapper around you or a coat around you, then all you're doing is taking out the coat and just you're still there. So that is the way the yogis, the adepts, even leave their prana. They just simply know how to leave their prana, right? That is when you practice pranayama. And I have to say this, that for the most part, some amount of practice like that is required for you to let go of your prana in that way. But if you were, say, a karma yogi, what happens there? You may not be able to leave the prana in that using the udana vayu and stuff like that, in the way the adepts leave, but at least you know how to let go of your fear, and that helps the prana by itself go. So it's not like every practice will give you exactly the same results. They have their results, might be different because you are choosing different paths and different your priorities are different. But then the pain and the misery and that experience of, I don't want to go, but then this body is now, I have to let go, how is that possible? That kind of fear is gone in both cases, in all cases, whichever path of yoga you take. Okay? Having mastered pranayama in Padmasana, one is ready to become a liberated soul. Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Pranayama is a Mahatapas.
The previous note, pranayama in Padmasana, so people say Vajrasana is good. having master pranayama in Padmasana.
That's what Hatha Yoga Pradipika says. And Padmasana is the ultimate asana. But that doesn't mean that you have to. That's why I said there are different paths. Don't think that this is the only way and this is exactly how you should do. Please don't take it that way. This is just learning the scriptures, that's all.
Can I just say something? So a couple of weeks ago you mentioned something and then I've been following that and it's worked great. So you said that in order to be able to sit in Padmasana, you really need to have opened up your hip flexors, and we were studying hip flexors. And then we did those 6 postures, right?
Trikonasana sequence.
Yes, Trikonasana. That opened, I practice it every day. It's opened up my hip flexors so much, so nicely and easily that I can now sit in Padmasana where I used to have a little problem. So I just want to give you that.
I need to take a picture of yours and show, because people think that they have to be slim and they have to be looking very, like a stick figure to be able to sit in Padmasana. I really want your picture so we can say.
And I have lots of stories of people calling me fat and how the heck can you be a yoga teacher and so I love to prove them wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is an incentive for many of our people. One lady came with 220 pounds and she's like, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do any yoga, but I really have all these problems. How can you help us? We said, you can sit in Padmasana if you want. She goes, how? She doesn't have any pain issues or anything, just mind. And obesity comes because of the eating disorder. And I said, you are waiting to develop a lot of other disorders if you don't help yourself now. She says, how can I do yoga? I said, don't worry, we'll make you do Padmasana one day. She's like, are you kidding me? You see me? Do you see me? I said, yeah, I have seen many others also who have been doing this. And my Anil also, right? Initially would not be able to sit in Padmasana after 3 months of his own YSC, yoga teacher training. He one day sat in Padmasana and showed me. Wow, I was so surprised. Yeah. And he's very, usually sometimes we are, even if you are a stick figure, my son is very inflexible, very, he couldn't even sit down. But within 2 months of yoga, we do yoga once a week, he comes to me.
Does he pay you?
You want?
My husband pays me.
Oh wow, okay, I'll start charging my son now. Oh cool, okay, alright.
No, it's not about business. My husband didn't used to think I knew anything, and he's a long distance runner and he would stretch wrong, and I would say, you're doing it wrong, you're going to hurt yourself. You don't know anything. I said, fine. And then he hurt himself, had to go for physical therapy. I said, okay, show me what exercises they're giving you. I gave him the yogic versions, he became fine. And then he started believing in me. And then it was only when I have a bunch of friends who are doctors and they said, we want you to teach us yoga. So I was going to, one of them lives in Saratoga, a huge basement, so I went to, teach at her house on a Sunday afternoon, and my husband gets his yoga mat. I'm like, where are you going? He goes, I'm coming to the yoga class. Okay, so right in front of everybody, I was totally shocked. He pulls out the checkbook. Now, mind you, it is a joint account with my name on it. It was a symbolism, right? He pulls out the checkbook and he writes me a check right in front of everybody. And he was the first one to write the check, because I think one thing was he felt that I'm teaching to my friends and I'm going to feel uncomfortable asking money from them. And so if they're seeing the husband giving money, nobody can say right? But that's today, the relationship during the yoga class shifted from husband-wife to teacher-student.
Awesome. Really awesome.
Right? So it was his doing. I didn't put him up to it. I didn't ask him. But subsequently, after that, when my daughter started taking classes, I did ask her for money. Because I realized, and I just said, you just pay me whatever you can.
Yeah.
$2.
I told my son, $100 per session is what I charge. And for you, since he's not earning yet, it's a rain check. You don't give me, you give to Yoga Bharati. I said, yeah. So that's our arrangement.
Yeah.
And he comes every week. Calendar, change the calendar. I just said, you have to manage it. If you want to come, I'm going to be available. I'm not going to say come. So he's doing it very well now. Because now he can see the benefit also. After 3-4 classes, that's it. He wants to come. So it's just that, right? It's just a matter of habit. And then anybody can do anything. Patanjali defines pranayama beautifully. Bahyabhyantara stambhavrittir desha kala sankhyavihi paridrishtos dirgha sukshmaha. So desha, kala, sankhya. These are the 3 things. What? Bahya, abhyantara, outside, inside, stamba, hold. What is that? Puraka, rechaka, and kumbhaka. Vrittihi. Desha, kala, sankhya. Space. Desha. That is how is that how much you fill the lungs, or how does it work?
The usual interpretation is desha. When we do pranayama, the point of focus is a point in the body. Like in Ujjayi breath, it's the back of the throat. Nadi Shodhana, it's the nostrils, like that.
Okay, so desha is basically space. So awareness on the, I usually call this the amount of breath you take. Kala is the length of the breath, and sankhya is the count. Yeah, how many breaths per minute, kind of stuff. Like how slow you breathe. That all that make it dirgha, long, sukshma, subtle. So it has to be subtle. The sound of the breath. So hum. You should feel that S sound as you inhale, H sound as you exhale. That all that you can give. See, pranayama is boring. It will not become boring when you bring all these aspects. You know, how long are you breathing? So when everybody is doing Nadi Shodhana, you are not also doing Nadi Shodhana. Take that away, please. And you just sit down, have like this, and then remove, have like this. You're not actually practicing at all. Just every few minutes you're giving one little tip each time. Like how many breaths are you, how long are you inhaling? Make it slower by slowing down your thoughts. Otherwise they'll make it slower. How? They'll slow down until, they're panting. That's not how you slow down. So slow down your mind and the breath slows down. And dirgha sukshmaha, make it long and make it subtle. As you inhale, the sound of S. As you exhale, the sound of H. So hum. See, when you start giving these little pearls as they are practicing, believe me, they don't want to come out of it after that. Instead of getting bored, they would want to be there. That's how they should feel. Bahyabhyantara vishayakshepi chaturtaha. We should go there again. We'll keep coming to this. The chaturtaha. At least in how I feel is that there is the Puraka, Rechaka and Kumbhaka, and then there is that Kevala Kumbhaka, Turiya. At least for me, that is the Chaturtaha, but there is also more interpretation to that.
Yeah, that's the usual interpretation.
Usual interpretation.
Kevala
But there is
Kumbhaka
one
and
more.
also Turiya. Because in the Mandukya Upanishad, when it talks about the 4 states of awareness, the wakeful state, sleep state, dream state, and for the Turiya state, the word Turiya is not used, Chaturtaha is used.
Mm-hmm.
So here, one of the interpretations is Patanjali is referring to that Chaturtaha mentioned in the Mandukya Upanishad, which is Turiya.
Transcendence of breath, basically. If you look at it not as a process of breathing, then if you take it as the stage of pranayama, then it is the stage where all this bahya, abhyantara, desha, kala, sankhyabihi, dirgha, sukshma, all of this is happening. But then the chaturthaha is also happening, and that is you just end up completely transcending the prana. And though there might be a breathing happening there, you are not breathing. It's just happening, and you have crossed that threshold of even you stuck at breathing.
So
You are stuck at breathing, by the way.
Transcending prana is Turiya.
Turiya, 4th stage. Tatah kshiyate prakashavaranam, you were saying. That is when the avarana, the clouded mind, the clouds are removed, and then the prakasha comes out.
Shiyate here is the destroying of Avran. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
Shiyate is
Becomes
declines.
sheen or
Sheena, correct. The veil covering the light of knowledge is going to go away. So what are the practical aspects of pranayama? The goal is to increase the CO2. Again, we just simply say that, but please understand this is a advanced scriptural basis kind of talk here. Slowing down of the mind and breathing with nose increases nitric oxide. This is one Buddhic breathing. There is one Buddha breathing, something.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
That's all. All he does is increases Kevala Kumbhaka.
Yeah.
And he calls, they won't use the word yoga anywhere, and I took this from there. Breathing with nose increases nitric oxide. Moving the diaphragm increases parasympathetic system, the tone of parasympathetic system. Pranayama's goal is
About the moving the diaphragm.
in Kumbhaka state, increase the content of oxygen slightly again. Yes, Kapalabhati invigorates, but the goal is eventually to reduce the basal metabolic rate, reduce thoughts, improve cell efficiency. Okay, so that is of course not achieved through Kapalabhati alone per se, so I have to change the slide a bit here. Please make a note of that. That's not the goal of Kapalabhati.
What is the PNS? Moving the diaphragm increases the PNS.
Parasympathetic system, diaphragmatic breathing. That's when diaphragm moves, right?
Parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah,
PNS.
PNS. Advancing in pranayama. Kumbhaka is the goal then. Different schools have different ratios and whatnot. Inhale for 1 unit, retention for 4 units, exhale for 2 units, external retention for 2 units, and so forth. Okay, I'm just giving one as an example. Please, this is not something you just use to start practicing without awareness and stuff like that. Just an example. Look at the final one. 1:16:4:32.
So
Yeah, even if you breathed in for 1 second, which is not possible, so you have to, if you go at least 4 seconds of inhalation, you multiply 32 by 4.
16 by 4, 64.
That's, yeah, that's a lot. But don't go there, please.
So when you breathe in for a count of 1 and hold for
You are holding for 16 counts.
right?
Yeah.
So that's dangerous.
Not, that's why look at the ratio of how you build, right?
Yeah.
1:2:4:8,
Yeah.
1:4:4:8,
Yeah.
then 1:8:4:16, 1:16:4:32.
That's not many years. We just
That will
have
take
to
many
watch
years.
those.
Yeah, then it won't be dangerous.
You'll be dead by then.
Yeah, and then brahmacharya is important, sattvic diet is important, once a day meal is important. There are like 1,000 things that follow with that. So you cannot just
We
sit and
achieve
breathe. Okay, you have to achieve all of that, and then yama niyamas go with that. Yeah.
Then you will be fully awake.
Yeah, Sahaja versus Hatha. Sahaja schools of yoga, which is what we follow. No forceful holding of breath. Kevala Kumbhaka is basically allowing the breath to suspend. And Abhyasena Nirabadham, that when you practice regularly, then Badha will not be there. Nirabadham, it becomes Sahaja. Then you practice without that additional Badha, the impediments. Then Abhyasat Drudo Yato. Drudatam yato, Abhyasa drudatam yato. So by practicing you become druda, established in that system. By practice one can cross all the obstacles. That is abhyasena nirabadham. Na hatat, na balat. Not by force, not by bala and not by using force, undue force.
Hఠాత్ stubbornness.
And a bit on nadis and chakras because they go together with pranayama. Nadis are subtle energy channels which of course cannot be like anatomically cut and found out. We cannot slice them like that. You have to slice them with the power of your mind basically, and it's an inner journey, inner anatomy. And chakras are basically when 2 nadis meet, they are called sandhi. When 3 nadis meet, they are called marma. and when many nadis meet, they are called chakras. And again, is there a strict standard chakra model? No. Every yogi that practices arrives at certain conclusion himself, herself, based on their own personal experience. And you can classify a given, you can cut a given pie into 5 or 6 or 8 or 10, depending on how many people are around, how much, what you want to eat, and how many you want to share with, and so forth, right? Even just a little piece of cake. So this is a pie, and they have dissected in a certain way because that's the application model they have followed for their temperament, I should say, or for their school, and that becomes a standard for their school. And that school, depending on the influence of the school, one becomes more popular than the other. That's all. So Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about 72,000 nadis. Shiva Samhita talks about 350,000 nadis, of which 14 are important. Ida, Pingala and Sushumna are the 3 most important ones. Ida is on the left or right? Where are these nadis? Spine, right? In the spinal cord, you can say, right? And right and left? What is it? Ida is on the left side. Pingala? Right side.
Actually, I mean, just
Yes, please. That's why I give.
I think Ida Pingala is left nostril and right nostril, but then they crisscross. It's like that staff with the two snakes.
Yeah.
So it's like a DNA kind of.
Yeah, it goes like this.
So Ida actually crisscrosses. Left nostril, yes, but right brain. Like that, I mean, that's what I believe
Yeah.
also.
One has to come back and tell us. We know that we only say Ida on the left side and Pingala on the right side. But at the back, we don't know what happens. But yes.
I will tell you when I experience.
That's why I don't talk a whole lot about this. I simply refer to the shlokas and quotes because it's hard to make any statement. Sushumna is what we want enabled most of the times. How is that going to happen? Shuddhi pranayama, the alternate nostril breathing, and awareness, constant awareness of this. We'll have monthly sadhanas. One of them we can do right and left nostril awareness, and let's work on that. Chakradhara, chakras, the commonly popular model of chakra is what we are following here. Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine. Swadhisthana, 2 inches above that, will be Swadhisthana. Manipura. By the way, let's also talk about their application, right? Muladhara stands for?
Root.
Yeah, what are the emotions associated with it? Stability, protection, security. So when that chakra is not well nourished, you feel insecure constantly. Fear. Yeah, that's a fear center. Swadhisthana?
Creativity.
Lust, drive for sex, procreation. And when that is imbalanced, you know what will happen. And then Swadhisthana? Manipura. Yeah. That is?
Emotions.
Where is it?
Navel.
Navel. Yeah. What are the emotions associated with that?
Fear again.
Anxiety, fear.
Greed. Yeah. Greed. Hoarding. All that. And when you are grounded at that, you feel, you feel more accepted, sharanagati, all that happens there. And then comes the anahata, where is it? Heart chakra. What can happen there? If it is negative side? Jealousy, power, hungry for power. Type A's are low on heart chakra there. And then what else can happen? And what is the positive side? Love and compassion. Gratitude. And Vishuddha?
Communication. Expression.
That is when, these are the Vishuddhi, from Vishuddha, Ajna and Sahasrara. They are said to be the spiritual chakras. That's where you communicate with telepathy, meaning intuition. It's not telepathy as in, that also can be there, but for the most part, it's intuition. And to be able to communicate and to be able to express better your spiritual thoughts. And Ajna,
Between the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Inside.
These are
much deeper intuition now, spiritual levels. We have not gone there, so don't. Sahasrara.
Needs to go.
Divine.
Quickly, we'll go over these, just a very simple explanation of each of these. Kapalabhati, forceful exhalation, passive inhalation, slight hyperventilation. We should write that, please. Let's edit this. Hyperventilation. If body allows, we'll do that also. If body allows. And creates increased sympathetic tone followed by parasympathetic predominance. Cleanses sinuses and respiratory tracts, skulls shine, helps asthmatics, invigorates and strengthens the nervous system. You see that? It does. It is Sarvaroga Nivarana as long as you know how to practice.
So is there a reference to read more about Kapalabhati that you would recommend? I'm not able to still fully get on the carbon dioxide and the oxygen.
I think
Or
I would
is it
suggest,
online?
yeah, online there are lots of resources. I would really suggest that you do a lot of practice for you to know. You should do sadhana on this. Then you will know much better than what others say. Please read anyway. Okay?
You were saying some sadhana for Kapalabhati, right? You said do for certain time and then stop. You were saying.
We, for anxiety, we ask them to do Kapalabhati for, like, let's say 30 or 40 breaths per minute. Then 1 minute of meditation. 30-40 breaths of Kapalabhati, 1 minute of meditation. 10 of those rounds, that is 20 minutes. That's not hyperventilation. That's only just creating that. They cannot sit for 20 minutes, but the Kapalabhati gives them that ability to be able to meditate. So it's not, you're still, even with those 40 breaths per minute, you probably have slightly increased the decrease the carbon dioxide levels for you to stay, breathing with less number of breaths per minute, slowing down the breath.
Yesterday, I just want to thank Sri Ramji because you explained shining skull really beautifully about what it means. And since only half of us got to hear it, it would be nice if everyone else got to hear it too. What you said about shining skull, what it means and how it's a metaphor. So would you mind sharing that with everyone?
I mean, this is what my teacher used to say. It's a shining skull is a metaphor for the flame of awareness. So metaphorically, our awareness is like light, and the body is like a candle or the wick of the candle. And by shining the skull, basically it means that we are making the light of awareness shine more bright. It's another way to say that we are making the mind more alert. So from a drowsy or a lethargic state of mind, we're making the mind more aware, more alert. So that's what it is.
That's a
Very
really good
nice,
way of
very
putting it,
beautiful.
because when I was younger, I really took it literally. I don't know, when I was a little girl, Master is a shining skull.
Like
I
it
literally
becomes like a
had
mirror.
an image of,
Yeah, aura, like those gods and goddesses. Yeah. So it also helps and massages the abdominal organs, helps GI patients, but also hurts if they practice too much, because then it becomes too tight. So I have to write that also.
What's GID? What's the D?
Disorder.
Gastrointestinal disorder.
Oh, thank you.
This is a Vyasa word.
Oh.
Okay, next. Preparatory practice for pranayama calms down the mind, puts us in Kevala Kumbhaka. The limitations are hypertension, migraines, epilepsy, severe spondylosis, and avoid during menstruation, to name just a few.
Pregnancy.
Pregnancy, anyway. Yeah, we usually don't bring pregnancy into any of these because
No, but to
it's a
avoid.
completely, yeah, I know, but there are so many
Yeah.
things that they should not avoid pregnancy, of course.
But somewhere I read it releases a headache. That means it's not migraine. This is different.
When you have active migraine, you are not supposed to do that.
Okay.
Migraine is the younger sister of epilepsy. In both
Oh.
cases, yes. Yes, in both cases, a lot of neurons in the brain die. A huge episode of migraine is basically a younger sister of epilepsy. So don't tolerate migraine. You just have to take medications if needed and work on getting rid of them, because slowly you're damaging your brain otherwise. Over a period of time, all sorts of later dementia and this and that will happen if you tolerate migraine. People walking around with migraine headache, and they don't want to take medicines, and they'll keep continuing that. Dr. Naveen, who is a he's a scientist who did research on neuroscience and yoga. He said this. He said, please don't tolerate. Please tell your people not to tolerate headaches. They lead to
Break the cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
they lead to brain damage.
But does it help in preventing a migraine developing?
Preventing migraine is always great. But if you are in a session already, you just have to take the medications to bring it down.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise you are killing those neurons. Some 100,000 neurons per attack are gone. So you have to know that. Okay, Bastrika, forceful inhalation and exhalation 10 to 20 times, followed by Ujjayi or Kumbhaka, and can be repeated 3 times. Geranda Samhita says 10 to 15 times, at the most 20 times. Geranda Samhita, I think, says 15 times. It's a hyperventilation technique for sure.
Can you show Bastrika, because I haven't learned it properly and I don't think I am doing properly as well. So if you don't know.
I don't use the hands because that's a different exercise. The reason they use the arms is because they also want to open up both the nostrils. You can do that once, but after that it's simply just how deep you inhale and how deep you exhale. Only 15 times. So your inhalation has to be quick and deep. For that to happen, you also have to develop the strength in the nasal cavities to take that much inhalation. So for that you have to practice Jalneti and all that, and your overall strength of the sinuses also have to go up. So all this is a preparation for eventually also cleansing the nadis through Nadi Shodhana and all. So your eventually skull is literally shining now, because all these cavities are clear and you're not, a lot of people walk around with blocked nostrils and all that. That's a sign of many other chronic ailments later to come, right? So the nasal cavity is important for yogis to be free of that and to have that much breath. So and you hold.
So you are actually,
That's plenty. I can feel that.
actually direct the muscles.
Huh?
Yeah, like
I can feel that. The whole head is busy already.
Arm movements is not necessary.
She was doing very
Arm movements also slows down and it distracts you from doing it. But the idea is deep breathing.
No,
It's okay, do that once, because that helps you open the nostrils, right? First time you do that, second time you do without the arm movements. And then for the advanced pose practice, you hold the breath inside.
Yeah, is it after exhalation?
Is it
No,
after?
our inhalation.
No, inhale and hold the breath.
So for how long? How much you can?
How much ever you can.
Yeah.
But the goal is to hold longer and longer.
That's after the 20th time or 15th time, right?
After 15 times. So you first expel the carbon dioxide, then you invite carbon dioxide, and you increase the carbon dioxide. Both the tolerances you are basically expanding. And that is going to make you steel body, Vajrakaya.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should do
In fact, they do, like after Bastrika, when we hold the breath, they actually do the 3 bandhas.
Yes,
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 yes.
Good. Yeah, I forgot to say that. Yeah. Whenever you do Jalandhar Bandha, of course, and pull all 3. Yeah. So good. Thank you.
So then that has to end in an exhalation, and after the exhalation, it has to be. For Uddiyana Bandha,
After-
it has to be exhalation. So
But this is
the last
other
one,
Uddiyana Bandha,
all 3.
where you pull the navel using the abdominal muscles. Not the other one where you expand it.
That's the one where you expand.
No, it's other.
Not that. Okay.
It's a navel
Okay.
pulling one.
So you inhale, then you apply Kumbhaka, and then you
And you
apply
hold.
Uddiyana.
Yeah. Tribandha.
It happens, right? Isn't
It happens,
That's
right? Yeah.
When
That too,
you
you
even do the Jalabandha, your Uddiyana Bandha and Mooladhara Bandha is happening. Certainly.
Yeah.
You probably not going to notice it.
So it creates increased parasympathetic tone again, followed by deeper PNS. that is if you meditate. If you don't, then you have hyper aroused yourself and you're now the extreme rajas person, and you walk around with so much energy, and I mean it's just not good until you crash. It's like, you know, those what are those shots? Yeah. Shots. So don't do that. It's important to come to sattvic state at the end of it.
So after Bhastrika we have to do meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. Invigorates and strengthens the nervous system. Yes.
Use up the energy.
Hmm?
Meditation is to use up the energy.
Not to use up the energy, but to channel, to store and to channel, both. You are basically like a fountain, right? Your energy is supposed to flow like a fountain, not the, you know, the splash everywhere. So that you have to harness your energy. That harnessing system is required, right? You then meditate, and if you suppose you get euphoria in your practice, then you don't want to indulge in that euphoria. That is against yoga, right? Then see these Rakshasas and the demons that they talked about, right? Ravana meditated and he got it, all these powers, and then he became a Rakshasa. How did that happen? Because the energy, you get siddhis, but then if you haven't learned to harness that and to make it more sattvic, then you become Rakshasa. So it can create a much worse situation for you. That's a complete decline, eventual decline for you, right? So yes, it can take you to any road. The more powerful, the worse or better, depending on where you go. But if asana is a car to drive, pranayama is a truck. So
Asana is a car.
asana is a car, pranayama is a truck. So you can go better, I mean truck meaning like good four-wheel drive, right? And more power and everything. But then if you drive recklessly, you can cause more damage to yourself and to others. But if you drive well, you can actually do much better.
So Bhastrika in a day we have to do only 3 times, 10 to 20 repeated. 3 times we can do morning 3 times, evening 3 times.
If you practiced so many other things along with that,
So we can't sleep.
then you increase Bhastrika. Otherwise, please don't do that.
Lot of energy.
In fact, in Art of Living, once we had an incident where somebody, they liked Bhastrika so much that they did indulgence of Bhastrika. They did some 20 rounds of Bhastrika with each 20 to 15 strokes. And it really messed their nervous system, and they had to give medical attention to them. And I remember Guruji, Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, he said maximum per day don't do more than 80 strokes of breath. So if you are doing 3 rounds of 20, then
That is 60.
that is 60 already. So more, it's like a hard limit 80. He gave that number, he threw that number
Every day.
every day.
You shouldn't have more than
You shouldn't exceed 80.
Shouldn't exceed 80 stretch. 80 strokes don't do in one time, right? One sitting. One sitting. Hmm?
I thought 3 days was more than enough. 3 days. 3 days? No, I mean 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
3 times is pretty
Times
good.
a week.
Yeah.
3 times 20. You need a lot of energy in that you hyper. You at night you won't be able to start. I get that
Correct.
experience.
Correct. Yes. It's pretty taxing on the nervous system. Please understand. You are strengthening the nervous system, right? So you have to go slow. Anything like that. Like say you want to lift weights. You go first day and can you lift like 200 kilos in one shot? No, at least that will prevent you from picking up. But sometimes maybe if, okay, fine, 200 I cannot. How about 50? Maybe with great difficulty you start picking and doing 200 rounds, you go home, you would have probably hurt yourself quite a bit. You have to start with 10 maybe, 10 kg first day and so forth, right? That is, same rule applies everywhere. You have to be judicious in your practice. Don't just push yourself to that. Advanced practice and needs to follow strict diet, brahmacharya and other yogic discipline. Okay, alright, already it says all. Nadi Shuddhi, alternate nostril breathing. Today I think we'll just do only pranayama because we are in that pranayama mood. Let's finish this. We'll go to ethical standards, ethics and boundaries next time. Alternate nostril breathing, Nasika Mudra. You all know. Nadi Shuddhi, Nadi Shodhana, Anuloma Viloma Pranayama, and I liked what Sri Ram explained last time. Loma means the hair of the body is called Loma. Anuloma, along the hair of the body. Viloma, opposite of the hair, the direction of the hair. So Anuloma Viloma is also another word used for Nadi Shodhana Pranayama.
What does that mean?
Along the hair, opposite of hair. The direction of
The
hair.
breath?
Yeah, the breath moving opposite
So the
is Viloma.
Hairs in the nostril.
The reason why these names came up. So in Nadi Shodhana, the alternate nostril is done both inhalation and exhalation, right? Both are nostril. The Anuloma, Viloma, and there's one more called Pratiloma. They're usually the classic practice of pranayama. The way it's done is either the inhalation or the exhalation is Ujjayi, and the other one is the alternate nostril. So for example, breathing in using Ujjayi with both nostrils and breathing out through one nostril will be Anuloma, because the breathing out through the nostrils is with the direction of the hair. Loma in the nostrils is in this direction. That is Anuloma. But when you switch it, if you do Ujjayi breathing out and then alternate nostril breathing in, that is going against the hair. So that becomes Pratiloma. And Viloma is a combination of both. There is one complete cycle of the pranayama will be, I mean, we can discuss that offline, but it has several rounds of in and out breath which combines these both cycles of.
Yeah, that's one school of thought, by the way. That's one school where the Ujjayi is combined with Anuloma Viloma Pranayama. But whereas in case of say Iyengar style, they just simply focus on just the digits. They say don't even go near Ujjayi. That's it. If you want to slow down, half close the other nostril. So he's like absolute militant about not doing Ujjayi combination like that. So he has got various other stepwise Ujjayi and all beautiful, really beautiful methods which I have followed that. So what he says is, first of all, the tips are used, and to what extent the inner tip or the outer tip. The tip has this side and this side, right? The outside and this is inside. So even that matters. So when you close using the inner tip. So when you release, your hands go like that actually. It also moves like this. So exhale, inhale. Exhale on the other side, and your hand is almost touching both all the time. And he folds. I like folding because when I hold it here, I keep my head up. When I push it down, actually this is where I actually practice my capacitance that you talk about. So for me, it is these two come close to the forehead, yeah. And then I like to bend my neck, because when you bend your neck, you lift your chest, you grow wide, and the back is straight, spine is straight. So that way the effect is profound. You can breathe so beautifully, at least that's how I feel. And I've tried the natural one, which then becomes more sahaja way. But when you want to increase the vigor and go advanced, then you have to forget the diaphragmatic breathing. Like, you know, when you're for diaphragmatic breathing, you have your spine cannot be that long. Then you simply cannot stretch your abdomen at that point. Then it kind of straightens, and then you will be using more of a chest cavity, this whole area.
So I have a
Try it
question
all.
Based on what you said about Anulom and Vilom. So in why we have, then the name should be Anulom and Pratilom, right? Vilom is, we are breathing against the hair direction.
Pratiloma is the against. Prati is the opposite side.
But
Viloma is Visheshaloma, where we combine both in a special way. So one Viloma round would be, I know it's a little digression, but it's breathing in using Ujjayi, breathing out using one nostril, breathing in through the same nostril and breathing out through Ujjayi. So you have a combination of both Anuloma and Pratiloma. That becomes Viloma. I mean, that's different.
Yeah, so that's the definition of Anulom Vilom in which
Srivatsarama Swami.
Srivatsarama Swami.
Srivatsarama.
So everybody has different meanings for that. So we can pretty much say this is Viloma because it's like how Prakriti Vikriti, opposite. V in can be used as opposite also. V can be used as Vishesha, which the meaning of V's Pratyaya is multiple.
Vishesha or Viparita.
Viparita, both.
Yeah.
I have a question again with this, is you are using this one side, correct?
Right.
Like, yeah, not the side, correct?
No. Fully like a clamp. Make like a clamp here.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Join the
that's
three.
what I do. But just now you said that he's using this one from
So one time I was speaking to Swami Bodhananda, and he asked me to put these two fingers here. And you're saying that it's better
No,
to have the
it
nostril.
depends on your style, what you like, right?
Okay.
And
I mean,
for
I
me
quite
at
like
least,
this.
yeah, if you like, it's fine. But for me, what happens, at least that's the, if you want to sit straight and chin down, and you want to practice this, and you want to touch this, I cannot. I simply
Okay.
cannot. I have to go, I go here. That's not the place.
Too high.
Yeah, too high.
Too high.
So high. So you have to somehow bring it down, and then how do you bring it down? So for me, this works just fine. I'm here. I'm already touching even with my knuckles.
Yeah, in Art of Living they do like that.
Yeah.
Also talks about it.
Yeah. So that you have to follow. I would really suggest that you read Art of Pranayama by Light of Pranayama by B.K. Sayadar. The Art of Sitting. 6 pages on Art of Sitting. Very dry, but you have to keep trying. Keep reading. Take time. Take an hour. Just sit down with that. Read a few lines. Practice that. Read. Go back if you read. Practice. See the pictures. Just spend time on that. It's
What is it?
amazing. Light on Pranayama.
I had an extra copy that I accidentally got, like very once.
Light of yoga.
Light on
Right
Pranayama.
on Pranayama.
There's another book.
Oh, he has 3 books. Light on Yoga, Light on Pranayama, Light on Patanjali Yoga
Yeah,
Sutras.
my husband is already
Phenomenal. All 3.
And he has one more, Light on Life.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, alright. So let's move on. Exhale and inhale left. Switch nostrils. Exhale and inhale right is 1 round. Okay, alright. We have to stop. Exhalation has to be in our Sahaja practice. Usually exhalation is longer, and it's better to keep it that way because exhalation is associated with parasympathetic system and they will be relaxed. Okay, balance of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Difficult to practice for freshers, so it takes quite a bit of training. I saw some of the teachers also practicing wrong. Watch for, senior teachers I meant. Watch for forceful drawing of the breath. And when somebody breathes like this, I just say, alright, watch me. How you were practicing? Is this correct? And they say yes. No, they say yes. They absolutely. All I do is. Correct? Say yeah. This is how you're practicing. Now what? Listen to mine. See how my nose is, how this is moving? You can see that, right? That's how, huh?
Closer, can I come closer?
Yeah, you can come. I'm breathing.
Yeah. I still want to observe.
Yeah. So I hold like that. Yeah. So at all times, the nose, it is like that. Just manipulating slightly, just like that.
And then how about using the right hand versus the left hand?
I switch because if you do long time, I don't want to hurt your shoulder.
I just recall someone saying something, and I think it was in Yoga Bharti, that you should only use the right hand because it's something to do with the different energies on the fingertips and whatever is deficient inside you, that these fingertips help to equalize that.
You can take any practice to any level of mysticism, and I think you should stay away from that. If that person has experienced and told you, great. If somebody told that person and they are passing, they should be careful about not overdoing that part, because then somebody will stick to their right hand, and if it is hurting, and if they are practicing 15 minutes of Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, which is what is recommended, then you're holding that for 15 minutes, then long term not good.
So,
Or you can have that yogis thing, right? You sit with that.
I've seen people supporting
Then it's okay.
their
Yeah,
hand
I know.
as well.
Support. Some people do that too.
I have seen
Yeah.
that. I have a question on a therapeutic side.
By the way, they support like this, which is not good because you're pressing the chest.
Yes. So two questions. One is, if student come to you with both nostrils blocked, and if they have disease, so tell them to just do J breathing.
Yes.
And second question is, if there are people who are on the bed and we want to give them that experience in the sense, so is it okay for them to do lying down?
Yes. What I usually say is, put a pillow on you and then take your hand and practice. It's fine.
Do they have to little bit come up or
Yeah, that would be
straight?
great if they can come up.
But if
That's
they
wonderful.
cannot, lying down is fine.
Coming up is great. Coming up meaning like with some
Yeah,
support
little
of
bit, a little
pillows
support.
and yeah, always.
Unless they can do mental Nadi Shuddhi.
That's even better.
That's
So yes, asthmatics may find it hard to do. We had a person with 4 Brahmari count, 4 seconds. For him, Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, forget it. He used to be very upset when we give that. So then we said, don't worry, you just do the Sahaj Pranayama. Not even Ujjayi. There's no way Ujjayi was possible for him. So just Sahaja Pranayama, and he benefited enormously from Sahaja Pranayama, nothing else. Okay, and seniors may find it hard to remember the sequence. That's the other problem, and very hard to teach the non-Indian group. I don't know why, but non-Asian group. Koreans were okay, and Chinese were okay. I went to these senior centers, right? Various senior centers. Just the mainstream American seniors. Teaching them this whole new sequence was too much. So we just gave up and just did Brahmari and Sahaj
Brahmari
Pranayama, Ujjayi, Brahmari is fine.
Or maybe we can guide the whole time, like left, right.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. If there are like 20 of them, it was so hard. I would have to go hold their hand, then teach them, and then the moment I go there, she's again practicing wrong. They're like, how much? I said, give up. It's very difficult. Seniors, really seniors. Yeah. Not recommended for blocked nostrils or deviated septum. Shoulder pain and hand issues, hard to hold for long. Balance of Ida and Pingala Nadi increases vitality, soothes and it relaxes the entire body and mind, while Kapalabhati, Bhastrika have now invigorated you and are stretching your nervous system to some extent. Then when you give them a long Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, if they did good amount of Bhastrika and Kapalabhati, you have to give equally long Nadi Shodhana Pranayama and maybe Ujjayi, and also that their nervous system relaxes. Otherwise you are sending them with a very bad stress on top of all the stress that they have anyway come to you with. Okay, soothes and relaxes the body, reduces stress and removes anxiety, helps with spiritual progress by inducing tranquility, clarity and concentration, and also the rhythm of the universe and rhythm of the body are now, you are bringing the body in harmony with the universal rhythm. So Chandra Anulom Vilom is left nostril breathing, helps with hypertension and anxiety, good for underweight and anorexic patients. Surya Anulom Vilom is right nostril breathing, increases metabolism and reduces weight. Surya Bhedana Pranayama. What is Surya Bhedana Pranayama? What we do is we inhale through the right and exhale through the left. Inhale through the right, exhale through the left. So circular pranayama. It's just in that circle, it just keeps going. and so you have now inhalation especially is more stimulating. So while Surya Anuloma Viloma is is right nostril breathing, it does cause increase the metabolism and weight and all. It increases that aspect. Surya Bhedana makes it even more. So then you can practice that for a few rounds. At one point you will not be comfortable because you have stimulated only the right nostril. Then you switch to Chandra Anulom Vilom, or you relax and observe the breath. If you want to leave it at Surya Anulom Vilom because you are working on your weight, on your kapha prakriti, and of course you should not have hypertension. All these things there are comorbid conditions to also consider when you are offering any one such pranayama. We used to say obesity, yoga for obesity, everybody practice Surya Anulom Vilom. No, doesn't work that way. So be careful with that. So we stopped actually. We stopped giving this one nostril breathing because of so many conditions and comorbidities. We selectively offer to some people. They should be typical obesity with typical kapha prakriti and typical slouch couch potato, and then also maybe more tendency towards depression than anxiety. What's the difference between depression and anxiety?
Anxiety is like, speed of thought.
Say it again.
It's like the past versus future.
Past versus future. So depression people are more worried about the past, the guilt and things like that, right? They are brooding over the past. Anxiety is about the future. So what happens to me? Of course, the one with depression can also have anxiety, but depends on where they are predominantly stuck, right? That's the difference. Okay, so for such people, you give Surya Anulom Vilom, Surya Bhedana Pranayama, and of course, after that, they have to once again practice Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, because you don't want to leave them just stimulated like that. So that is the corrective pranayama. We call it correct. That is a balancing, and this is corrective pranayama. So carefully, judiciously offer that. Then Chandra Bhedana Pranayama, typically like a Vata. You can see that speed is everything, right? They are fast, they are Vata, they are anorexic, they are, the tendency is anorexic. That is eating disorder, right? Some people have overeating disorder, some people have starvation, right? They don't want to eat when they have stress. So that kind of disorder, and they have anxiety. Those kind of people, you just offer Chandra Anulom Vilom. Sectional breathing, we practice this. Abdominal breathing, Chin Mudra, Akara. Thoracic breathing, Chinmaya Mudra, Ukara. Clavicular breathing, Adi Mudra, and Makara. I don't know why it's sitting as Ukara. Okay. We discussed yesterday that Seema and others, we discussed about whether we should use yoga poses to practice the sectional breathing. Some people do this and this and this one.
Yeah.
We here use the mudras because we use this as a preparatory practice, as an awareness building practice. And if we use the pose anyway, it's easier. But we are not going to be always walking around like this, abdominal breathing. So we have to learn to breathe with your belly without even not being in the pose. So it's both as preparatory practice for pranayama as well as for sectional breathing as meditation. You can use 20 minutes of sectional breathing as meditation. Fantastic with Akara, Ukara and Makara. Works great. So
Can you remind me Adi Mudra?
this is the child's mudra,
So you
baby
change your
mudra.
mudras
Yeah.
as you inhale.
You should watch the babies.
You change your mudras as you inhale. So when I'm inhaling, I'm filling in first here, then here, then here. Do I change my mudras in those?
Yeah.
No. Abdominal breathing. You practice abdominal breathing for 5 or 7 rounds. Then you chant 3 akara,
Oh.
and then you change the mudra. Abdominal
Just do the chest
level breathing.
And then you say ukara,
Ah.
then you do only this. But sometimes in my class I teach
Lastly, we take Brahma mudra,
in all
the
the
whole thing, and then
Okay.
release. Yeah.
So when we are doing all three combined, we should not be changing mudra.
No.
Like, okay, now I'm here.
No.
Now I'm here.
No,
No one can.
Yeah.
So when you do Adi Mudra,
Cinema, you got it.
are the thumbs coming to the base of the pinky or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
Nothing.
matter. Wherever
How
relaxed
touching
way.
it does it?
Just like a baby. You know how the baby holds.
Baby doesn't
Like that.
Oh, it's
So,
so
yeah,
cute.
that's what it is. Adi Mudra. Security, safety.
And so Chinmay Mudra is when the fingers are folded in?
Yes. Of every mudra, I like Chinmay Mudra. I don't know why. I like Chinmay Mudra better.
Is there a mudra like this?
Is it chin?
There are so many mudras. I don't want to go there. There's one lady in Santa Cruz, some 1,000 mudras.
Is it chin?
She teaches 1,000 mudras. That's her biggest thing. Celebrity. Yeah. Some dry yoga or something. I don't know what it's called.
There's
Okay.
a book on that. I think it's called Yoga on Your Fingertips or something.
Yeah,
It has some 1,000 mudras.
Yeah.
this type.
That's
Each page
probably
is
her.
one.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's almost like a dance, right? Yoga dance. Okay. Sectional breathing continued. Done. Benefits. It's a preparatory practice. Awareness about 3 lobes of the lungs. With mudra and chanting, it can become a meditation practice. Easy to practice Kevala Kumbhaka because your focus is not to lengthen the breath. You are practicing only that lobe is exercised, and then you stay in Kevala Kumbhaka.
So how do you, when do you practice Kevala Kumbhaka?
You don't practice. You just it happens.
Like
Inhale, abdominal breathing, just the bottom lobe, and then release, relax. Take one breath, exhale, relax.
then Kevala Kumbhaka.
Yeah. So we'll be practicing sectional breathing as meditation now. Okay, Shitali, we'll cover this also. Shitali, tongue folded lengthwise. Many people cannot do that. So what do? Still, you can get some amount of longitudinal awareness. One linear awareness happens. Shitali, tongue folded breath was. They call this taco and burrito. Kids, right? Youth YSC, they were saying, yeah, that is taco. Make your tongue like a taco, and now make your tongue like a burrito.
That's very cute.
It makes sense.
So that's taco and this is burrito.
That's certainly one way to look at it.
What does that teach Sadhanta?
Sadhanta, now bite. Taco and burrito. So the awareness, so one is, what about, do we have, yeah, we have benefits. So from linear awareness to 2D awareness to 3D awareness, you should teach them how to be aware of the tongue and its parts and where the cooling happens. When you do the Shitali, I say like a ice knife, you feel that your, a knife of ice is drawn on your tongue. It feels that sharp cooling happens to your tongue. It's a very beautiful awareness building practice and mindfulness practice. And tongue and health are connected, cools down the Agni, excessive heat, and during summer, it's a great practice, reduces hypertension, a great hypertension reducing practice, desensitizes people with asthma to cold, brings mental tranquility, good practice for short-tempered folks, especially visualized with cooling down of the temper. Bring all these aspects into your cooling pranayama. See how much there is to give in terms of pranayama. 1 hour of pranayama is not sufficient. We'll do that pranayama workshop, you will know that. Yes.
I think Ramdev says there's one more benefit to it is if you are thirsty and there's no water. So if you do Shitali, then
Yeah.
I think it's about
Yeah. It does.
getting the moisture in the air.
Perfect. It's wonderful.
I find that sometimes it makes my teeth like a little sensitive.
Oh, no. This one has the contraindication for Sadhanta is teeth sensitive. Yeah. So then you don't have to practice Sadhanta. Practice the first two.
So once again, just to review, we breathe in through the tongue,
Through the mouth.
and then breathe out through the nose.
Yes. Yes. And here inhalation is longer than exhalation.
Yeah.
And if you don't give enough Kevala Kumbhaka, what happens? So don't, you have to tell them to relax between the breaths. Otherwise they like even 3 breaths like that of Shitali, Shitkari and Sadanta is 9 breaths. That's quite a bit of deep hyperventilation. So you have to give that.
So you take one and then take break.
And then relax. And when there is a need to take the next breath,
Then
inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose. That's how next instruction would be that. After teaching them the technique, then the next, as they start the practice, you want to give this instruction as that follows. Okay, Bhramari Pranayama. Humming like a bee, seems very easy. Tongue touching the upper palate, teeth apart. Makara versus Nakara, where this is a regular thing. Usually when you lie down and practice chanting, that is Makara, because your tongue is down. When you take the tongue to the upper palate and produce the sound from the back of the throat, you are chanting Bhramari. And there is also, I practice this too. Inhalation and exhalation, Bhramara and Bhramari. Watch this. We'll do this. We'll soon do.
which
Hold
one
on.
was Bhramara and which one was Bhramari?
Brahmara is the high pitch, the going up. Brahmari is coming down, low pitch. The male bee produces high pitch sound, female bee produces low pitch sound. We'll practice that. So that's why I want to finish this quickly. Just give me some attention. We'll go to that. Okay. Adjust the pitch, high pitch, low pitch, medium pitch. Try all those things. Okay. Try vibrating the sinuses. Try bringing your hand on the head and do Bhramari in the high pitch, and try bringing the vibrations down. All that to the neck region, to even the stomach region. You will see that you can adjust the pitch and do all of this. We'll try this. Group vibrations when chanted in a class. Synchronized versus back to back. We discussed all this earlier. It's a great voice culture, improves lung capacity, soothing vibrations, relax the mind, good for sinuses, especially headaches, migraine, asthma, hypertension. Helps with insomnia and anxiety. Autistic children, Shashankasana Bhramari, great panacea. And teach the parents. Practice this like 4 or 5 times before they begin their homework, when they get agitated, anytime. Like keep giving this Shashankasana Bhramari, they will get better. The parents have to be very, very committed, and the child can improve significantly. Yes, the parent has to be committed. Different variations, ears closed, hands on the head, and chin mudra, all that. We'll come to that. 3D and all pervasive awareness. One hears different types of subtler sounds and vibrations, such as birds, etc. Bird language, as they say. What Yoga Pradipika says. You will understand bird language. And with this, because you become subtle at that point, your hearing and its discernment of different voices improves like anything. You will see that even just after Bhramari, or suddenly any sound becomes very loud, right?
Your own voice actually.
Yeah.
Like I could not sing for anything, but now my voice has improved because I practice regularly.
Yeah, voice culture. Visions of different type come. Jyoti Darshana happens, experience of light, experience of different mental states, and Laya, merger of the mind in Triputi, threefold process of Drishta, Drishya, and Darshana, all 3. So it's basically can lead you to Samadhi. And Nadanusandhana, we know this, right? 3 times chanting Akara, 3 times Ukara, 3 times Makara, and 3 times Omkara. Just doing Nadanusandhana. And advanced pranayama, Ujjayi, now following the ratio and stuff like that. Inhalation Ujjayi, exhalation Ujjayi, both inhalation and exhalation, systematically practicing the Ujjayi. Murcha pranayama. Murcha pranayama is basically holding the breath until you pass out. Lavani, swallowing the air and becoming like that and then floating in the water. Don't try all these things at home. Okay?
Could you please put the previous slide of Nadanusha?
So
I just need to, I want to take a picture.
So Nada Shodhana is nothing but a sequence of these.
Yeah, that's it.
chants.
That's it.
We
That's
might
great
be doing,
pranayama.
but-
Of course we are
Thank
doing,
you.
yeah.
But we don't call it Nada.
Nada Nusandhana, yeah.
Thank you.
So Nadan Sandhana we cannot do while we are lying down.
You can, you can.
Like most of the DYT I do this 3 times.
Any pranayama you can give them lying down also, because many people come to pranayama only because they cannot do asanas. Anyway, that's the wrong way to approach pranayama, but that's the way it is. So yes, they can practice.
The only way to practice Ujjayi is using the hissing breath, or also make a sound like.
What?
Yeah, that is what I mean. I think they used to do it in Prashanti long back, but I don't
What is
remember.
that?
Ujjayi. So.
Okay, just hissing sound, okay? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
I stopped
Next
doing
is-
Ujjayi because I could not do
That is Brahmari maybe, inhalation Brahmari. We are practicing that, guys. Please
No,
give me a
taught
second.
me as a Ujjayi
Practice.
doing this one.
Let's practice.
What she just saying. Somebody has taught me that way. And I got confused like
Okay, that is inhalation Brahmari. I'll talk. We'll come to that quickly. Let's just finish this, please. Pranayama is a sadhana, increasing awareness, expansion of awareness, intelligence.
Wow.
Aurobindo used to practice. Aurobindo used to practice 5 hours of pranayama. That's why he wrote what he wrote, Savitri, which nobody can understand, because we have to practice 5 hours of pranayama every day for years. IQ. Talk about Aurobindo again, right? The one sentence started and ended at the end of the page, and with perfect grammar. Amazing. I read his sentences 3 times to understand. Then I make my own sentences inside, and then I actually wrote a whole article from his Dharma and Psychology. I wrote an article, I'll send you. It's Arbindo's article basically, but I have written in my words.
I think
So
it's last
of course I've added my own stuff to it, but for the most part it is Arbindo's content. Beautiful. Yeah. And from tamas to rajas to sattva. You are moving from tamas to rajas to sattva. That is the goal of pranayama. Samadhi again, of course, is the ultimate goal, and one can reach this using pranayama alone. You can reach this using pranayama alone. Atharva Veda explains prana in a wider sense. I think I'll have to skip here now. Prana is to all persons as father is to her dear children. Okay, hardcore of all creation which breathes and breathes not. This characteristic of prana indicates its all pervasiveness. Prana praja anupasate pita putramiva priyam. Pranoha sarveshwara. What is that?
Sarveshwara.
Yacha pranati yachana. I don't like the English one. Pranasyadam vashet sarvam, you know that. You have to read all these things. Yato vaimani bhutani yena jatani jivanti. We talked about this yesterday. From where everybody is born. Last week, that is, we said this. Prano brahmeti vyajanat. Understand that prana itself is Brahma. And then Shiva Samhita talks about prana, apana, samanascha, udano, vyanascha, panchamaha. So we know that there are 5 pranas. And hrudi prano, heart prana. Gude apanaha, in the anal region is apana. Samano nabhi mandale, samana is here in the navel region. Udana kantadesha, here is udana. And vyana sarva shariragaha, the whole of body is vyana. Prashnopanishad, that also talks about panchaprana up there. And then they also talk about the work of each of these. What are they responsible for? Aparna works downward and is responsible for excretion, urination and seminal discharges. Prana has for its operation the regions of eyes, ears, face and nose, governing the sense of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling and most importantly breathing. Samana, functioning in the abdominal region, is that which maintains balance between prana and apana. Digestion is controlled by samana. This is Prashnopanishad. And what is this? Again, this is Prashnopanishad. And that which flows upward is Udana, which carries the virtuous to the virtuous world and sinful to the sinful world. You should read the Tibetan book of living and dying. It's very nice. That talks about bardo states, when you leave the body, how you leave and which yoni you seek for the rebirth or the final moksha is all up to you. And that all is the play of prana, and you can go from there.
Who's
Read
the
that.
author for that book? Living and Dying?
Some, I forget, it's a Tibetan name. Tibetan Book of Living and Singpo something. Singpo. Not the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama one is like you have to do PhD on that book to understand.
So this is the title is Tibetan book.
Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, not the Tibetan Book of the Dead. That is too ritualistic, and you have to understand too much. That I got lost in that Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Oh,
But
so I
Tibetan
got
Book
wrong.
of Living and Dying, not the Dalai Lama. As long as it's not Dalai Lama, it's fine. And he has borrowed from Dalai Lama anyway.
So Gyan Rinpoche.
Yeah, Rinpoche. Yeah,
Can
that's
you
the
send
one.
that link please in our group
You
chat?
search for it.
Huh?
No, just you've done it already.
Okay.
Send it.
And
Yeah,
Okay.
send it there.
So there are also upapranas to all the pranas. You know that, right? Naga, Kurma, Dhananjaya prana, all these are sub-pranas of pranas. Dhananjaya prana, for example, is responsible for, it's a sub-prana of Udana Vayu, and it helps you take your Atma out of the body into another place and all. By the way, don't discount. That's why I'm saying don't discount these things. They have done work, and they have done enormous amount of work to be able to say these things. So we may not be exactly doing what they are saying, and we'll probably never do it, but don't discount them, don't mock them, don't take that as it's some cock and
So
bull
it is
story and all.
interesting what you said, because I mean I don't know which of those what is that other pranas that you mentioned. So
Mhm.
the one
Here.
last one,
They are here.
yeah. One of them, the last one, it lingers after the body, after the
That is the
pranas
Dhananjaya
are-
prana.
and is responsible for decomposition. So that of the body. I don't know which
That's
one.
not Dhananjaya then.
So the last one, maybe Naga or
Naga maybe.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking how
Vrikala,
you know, how
Naga.
deep they have gone, that
Yeah.
they haven't thought about decomposition of something, you know, not just your life and death and rebirth.
Can I also say, so when I was flying back, I started watching this thing on the aircraft, which was about a Tibetan woman, or Nepali woman, I forget which one. Anyway, so she traveled the whole country. She was not a nun, something like a nun, right? And she walked the whole country in the snow and everything in search of this particular place, like right deep in the mountains, with it. Just women lived there, and they practiced something called the magic yoga breath, something like that. I forget the exact name, and that was really so that when they died, they said that their body shrunk to like this little baby size, because they had been practicing this magic yoga breath. The word magic was in there, and the word yoga, I forget the rest of the name. But that they were just able to just reduce themselves so much after that practice. I mean, it wasn't just like they practiced it once, you know, it was something
years.
that they, yeah.
Yeah, there is also this thing where in Himalayan, some Buddhist monks, they sit with ice water in the middle, and there are cloths which they have, and they chant. They start chanting pranayama, right? That's nothing but pranayama. They chant until they sit with only one
Yes.
dhoti something, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of like half an hour, 1 hour, whatever chanting they have done, they start sweating.
Yeah.
And they have to cool themselves. So then in Himalaya, in the mountains,
Yeah.
they become hot, and they then use the towel to again cool themselves, and then again they start chanting. So imagine the power that it has. From where are they going to generate that kind of heat?
But even simple Om chanting last week when you did,
Yeah.
Yoga and I, we both were
Yeah.
feeling hot. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so if it has so much power,
Power,
then
yeah, exactly. So this mastery over Varishta Prana involves a capacity to move along the spectrum of prana by increasing or decreasing the frequency of prana spanda. Spanda is the word. Freedom increases as mastery emerges. Freedom to grossify to lower levels than the human level, or to move to the great superhuman heights, whichever way you want to go. It's like you're playfully playing with the universe now. For you, nothing matters. You can become whatever you want to become, and you can go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. Like Shankaracharya was able to enter into a dead body of a prince because one lady challenges him. She asks him questions on the sexual art, and she says, you know, I can defeat you very easily. You are a brahmachari. You don't know any art of this sexual acts and stuff. And he says he doesn't want to accept defeat, and it is said that he goes into a prince's body and experiences that and comes back into his body and he answers her questions. This is Mandan Mishra's wife. Anyway, that's apart, but the point is basically you can do whatever you want to do. Samana is a mastery that is achieved through kriyas, shat kriyas and bandhas, uddiyana bandha, and controls the digestive forces. Apana through kriya of pulling apana and to offer it to oblate. You know, they say apano juhvati pranam, prano juhvati. What is that again?
Apane juhvati prano prane pano tatapare pranapanagati ruddhva pranayama parayana.
So there is that aspect which I cannot, this is too much now. I have to move. So let's spare one session for that. Okay, what he's going to explain. Next session, we'll spend more time on ethics and boundaries, and just some time for this one. We'll just do only inhalation, exhalation, Brahmari, and end the session. Then please go read all these things about apana, udana and everything. Udana is that kundalini prana that we talk about, rising up. Then what are the prerequisites, what are the important rules. Pranayamena uktena sarva roga kshayo bhavet. This is what is said, not necessarily just Kapalabhati, the entire pranayama. And so ayukta abhyasa yogena sarva roga samudbhavaha. Yeah, if done properly. That if done wrongly, then you aggravate all of the second line is that you aggravate all the disorders. Important rules: ablutions complete, then be empty stomach, eat sattvic food, cover the body with comfortable loose garments, so don't be too cold, too hot, and you should be relaxed, you should have had good sleep. Then no strain on the knee part of the body, including nostrils. You should not be, if you have loose bowels or severe health problems, stop pranayama for a few days. This is that kind of pranayama, that is advancing in pranayama, not the regular, sahaja pranayama and all that we can do. But this is about taking one step higher, right? Too much is too bad, always. Do not increase the time of practice indiscriminately. So please read this. It's just so many slides and so much. We cannot just finish everything. Shat Kriyas we'll cover next time. We'll just practice the inhalation and exhalation Brahmari and just be in silence for a few breaths and then go into